Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak. It's so interesting to go to these memorials for the older adults we serve. Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly is a nonprofit that helps older adults that are facing social isolation and loneliness. So we try to connect the dots, provide them with volunteers to make their life less lonely. So I've only known Marvis for 7 years when I took over the position, and Marvelous Marvis, oh man, I wish I would have known that, because I would have called him that and teased him about that. So I wish I would have known that, but we know our elders at a certain point in their life, and sometimes they don't tell us what their life led up to. So these memorials are always such an education for the staff from LBFE. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the staff thought of Marvis and share some stories. And then he was matched with a volunteer who lived in the city. He moved out of state during COVID, and Larry and Marvis had a weekly phone call on Wednesday night. So I asked Larry to write down a few words, so I want to share those words with you. Marvis knew about LBFE because of his work in the community. And then in about 2007, we started providing services for Lorretta. So then he knew about LBFE, and so as he was aging alone, he called us and he got services from us. And at LBFE, Marvis kind of was a social butterfly, as I'm hearing. He was up for anything, any new pilot program we would do, any visitor. Somebody said he was non-judgmental, and that's what he was. He would accept a volunteer of any stripes and color, and he really wanted to have a true conversation with that person. Marvis was somebody who kept us up to date on everything. As most of you know, he was a night owl. So he would leave us messages about at 3:15 a.m. in the morning with that radio voice. He really had a voice for radio. And he would tell us stories, and he would always say, please share with the other elders that a rainstorm is coming, a windstorm is coming. He really took care of people he never even met through our program. And he always wanted to say, this is when you vote, this is when you can register to vote. And when we saw that 1935, which were the last four numbers of his phone number, we always knew there was a message from Marvis. We really truly miss hearing that voice on our answering machine. And Marvis didn't take people for granted. He was kind and gentle to all the staff and all the volunteers. Anytime we had a new staff member, he would want their emails so they could be included in his mass emails. So he always wanted to have everyone feel welcomed at LBFE. We would always chuckle that we were copied on the emails he would send to Nancy Pelosi and the emails he would send to the mayor. I can see some head nodding. So you were also copied on those emails, right? He was so appreciative of his helpers. And that's Jessica and Francisco who took care. Are you Jessica?
Yeah, I would like to share a little bit if I can.
Yes,
If I can.
he was so appreciative of all of you. And he didn't take you guys for granted. He always talked to us about you. And we provided a ride to his medical appointments and every first of the month so he could go do his banking, because he never wanted to be late on his rent. It really was amazing. And Jessica and Francisco always assisted him on those rides. And I know you were there for the final weeks of his life, and I'm sure that gave him such peace. So thank you for that, Jessica. Okay, now I think LBFE has to say, we were the ones that taught Marvis how to use the internet and email. He was he was part of our Tech Allies program, where we taught older adults who were suffering from the digital divide how to use the internet, how to use a tablet. So those emails, you can thank Debbie, our Tech Allies coordinator, for that. He loved using those emails for community organizing. He jumped into it with both feet. He loved connecting with family and friends on Facebook. He met family he didn't even know existed through Facebook. He was so excited about all aspects of using the tablet. And Marvis, he was like one of our favorite older adults that we served, so we always made sure he had the newest tablet, so he would never be behind. Marvis was also matched with 2 students in an intergenerational program, and he was able to share his community organizing and his dedication to the Tenderloin. And he showed the students that, is it the Alcaraz Theater? Is that how you pronounce it? The theater in the Tenderloin, that Alcatraz Theater, okay. You can tell I'm not from San Francisco. And how he registered 1,000 people to save that theater. And so here is, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about what Larry wrote in an email. Larry lives in New Mexico and really wanted to be here, but he just actually lost his brother the day after Marvis passed. So this is from Larry. He goes, Marvis and I spent many hours talking, and intertwined through our conversation was his passion for serving the community. For example, on a recurring basis, the San Francisco Planning Department solicited his input on submitted building development projects. With a pulse on the goings-on in the city, Marvis would eagerly share those details of these plans by reading them to me. And more often than not, from just the physical address, he was able to identify the neighborhood in which the project was taking place, a testament to his knowledge of the city and his love for the city. As we go through this plan, both residential and commercial, he'll call out the flaws and mark them as red flags. Without fail, implementing the California Environmental Quality Act process came up with each project, and when it did, Marvis would announce the common occurrence with his signature dry delivery. Well, that's the CEQA for you. CEQA became the Easter egg in our review sessions. With anticipation, we secretly awaited for it to surface, and when it came, we would giggle and share our thoughts and our laughs. Once that tapped into Marvis's love doing what he did, was bringing out his dry wit, a characteristic that warranted me more celebration as far as I'm concerned. If these little bits, but oh so very precious moments, we both cherish, and I will continue to cherish them in keeping his spirit alive. Finally, I would like to share with you some words that Marvis left us in an interview in September of 2021. LVFE did a campaign called Changing Faces of San Francisco, where we interviewed older adults. And we asked him the question, what would you say are the major values or the principles that you live by? And Marvis replied, it's important to be truthful and fight like hell when it's the right thing to do. It was crucial I established and nurtured professional relationships with community workers. I feel I was destined to be a community worker and a leader. From connecting with the mayor and the police force, I expanded my network to help make a difference in the Tenderloin. So that was Marvis. And there's always the saying that as long as you have someone's memory and you think of them, that person is still alive. And I hope that we all can keep Marvis's memory in our thoughts and in our hearts, so then we can always know that part of him is alive. Thank you.